You've probably all seen this video before, Too Much for Z-Block, the video that inspired millions to start bhopping, and also it's the most popular bhop video ever. It's so popular that when you search a bhop song on YouTube, the song used in this video comes up. So how did we get here, and where is bhopping today? In this video I'm gonna take you on a journey and show you the history of bhopping, so without further ado, let's get into it. It all started with Quake, one of the first FPS games to ever come out in 1996. This is the birth year of bhopping. Quake had one thing that made itself stand out from every other game around him, and that was a complex movement system no other game had at the time. Trying to imitate real-life physics, the developers created the NetQuake engine, and with that, while not on purpose, they created the most important movement mechanic in video game history: bunny hopping. People really like speedrunning this game and were quickly figuring out what's the fastest way to move around, and that was of course bhopping. When you change directions, people realized you get a slight speed bump while you're doing it, and chaining multiple jumps together, they created bhopping. This combined with rocket launches to propel you forward was really overpowered and fun to use, but fun is the most despised word game developers have ever heard, so they actively try and remove all the fun from their game. And so in Quake 2 they removed getting speed in the air, or by its other name, air acceleration. Half-Life was how some people call it the golden age of bhopping, as strafing was back and is better than ever, and once again, since there is bhopping, there is speedrunning. There is one thing that changed though, and that's the walls. Walls have friction values now, which was supposed to limit your momentum, but people realized the trick with it. If you run into the wall in the perfect angle, you gain speed from it, and that's what people call wall strafing. This trick is commonly used in KZ servers in Counter-Strike, but more on that later. Another movement tech in Half-Life was, as some people call it, sharking. This was basically just spamming the jump key in the water and you keep your speed. Since you never touch the ground to reset your speed, you just end up swimming in the water way faster than you're supposed to. And when you're doing this, you look like a shark, and that's where its name comes from. And since we talked about sharking, we might as well talk about water boosting. This is so overpowered it can get you up to 2000 speed in seconds just by spamming jump and crouch in the water. This works because the barrels swimming are being pushed by a certain trigger in the water to give the illusion of the barrel moving down the stream, but this trigger also applies to the players. For some reason, if you spam crouch and jump in the water, you keep applying the push trigger to yourself and can do some pretty neat stuff with it. Besides this new trick and the fact you use the scroll wheel to bunny hop now, there is one more trick: fast laddering. When you climb a ladder normally, you're pretty slow, but for whatever reason, if you turn to the side 45 degrees, you get a lot more speed. The funny thing about this is it still works to this day. And just like in Quake, damage boosting to get up to really high speed is in the game again. You had to really cleverly hit yourself with your own grenades and do a chain of bunny hops to keep the speed. This made Half-Life one of the most speedrun games of all time. Counter-Strike is where bhopping gets complicated. It started out as a mod for Half-Life, but later Valve bought the game and made it an actual game. For the development of Counter-Strike movement, there are two people that are responsible for it. Those two are Mariond and Creeds. They both created something special that left a big mark on the game. Let's start with Mariond. Mariond was a map maker and a bhopper. He was posting really cool jumps to YouTube, but that's not what left a big impact on the game. One day when he made a knife in a map called KA Killbox for his friends, he discovered something that would change the game forever. When he went onto the roof of a building, he discovered that you can control the sliding on the roof and make it into speed by holding the strafe keys against it. On this discovery, he realized you can surf onto the other building using this technique, and that was the first surf jump ever. Out of curiosity, he made a map using this newly found movement tech, which was called Surf the Gap. You had to land in the water and press the big red button. Once you pressed it, everyone else on the server dies. This was the first surf map ever. He continued working on this map, making sure to update it daily, and after he was satisfied with the map, he hosted the first ever surf server for Counter-Strike. He taught players that joined the server how to surf, and it became an instant hit. So much so that the game evolved while he wasn't paying attention, because people started killing each other while surfing. If that sounds familiar, that's because it's another famous game mode called combat surfing. The creation of surf left a really big impact on the game, and people still surf to this day. So that was Mariond's legacy. But But what about Creeds? That name might sound familiar to a lot of you, and that's because he is KZ. Creeds like b-hopping and have been enjoying the game since the beta, so he wanted to make fun maps for himself and his clan called ICP, which stands for Insane Counter-Strike Players. On June 1st, 2001, the first KZ climb map is made called KZ Haunted House V1. This map was a mess, but it didn't matter because he kept making the maps better and better every release. Eventually it got to the point where it's really fun to play it. One of his most popular maps became KZ Giant Beam B15. This might have been the first map to have a key feature from the KZ game mode, and that's the timer. People can compete with each other's time and try to finish the maps faster and faster. This game mode got really popular, but what even is it about? KZ is the ultimate movement game mode, combining all aspects of movement in the game. There's long jumping, b-hopping, surfing, and a lot of KZ specific techniques like wall strafing or ladder gliding. The game evolved without him, but people still use KZ, which stands for Creeds, to describe this game mode as a way to honor him. Also an honorable mention before I finish the CS 1.6 part is Agenus. It's like a b-hop game mode where one team is chasing and the other team is running in a map full of ladders and surfs. The runner also tries to juke them out using the special settings Agenus has to make strafing really short, and this leads to some insane clips from better players. It's honestly really fun, and this is where I learned how to long jump and use ladders correctly, so shout out to Agenus. The next version of the best speedrunning game of all time came out, and it was worse, or so we thought at first. When you try to bunny hop in Half-Life 2, the game pushes you back, which leads to you slowing down instead of speeding up, so there wasn't much point of trying to do that. But this game of cat and mouse, where the developers try to fix something, and the players find a way around it, continued, because quickly enough people realized the mistake the developers made. The game always pushes you backwards when you try to bunny hop, and not just the opposite way. This means if you try to bunny hop backward, the game would speed you up instead of slowing you down. If you use the speed the game tries to give you to slow you down, by just going backwards you will speed up exponentially. When you're going with 1000 speed, the game tries to stop you and give you 800 speed backward, and so you go up to 1800 speed, and so on and so on. This keeps going, and you can reach up to 5000 speed very easily by just hitting a few b-hops, and using this speed people started ramping the ground. This is a technique you use when you have a lot of speed to surf up hills on similarly shaped stuff. This is also something people used in Danger Zone back in CSGO. This b-hop technique was later called ABH, which stands for Accelerated Backwards Hopping, and it completely broke Half-Life 2 and still works to this day. It's 2004 and the next version of Counter-Strike was out, Counter-Strike Source. The cat and mouse game continues because a new game can only mean one thing, and that's new bugs. And one of those bugs were so broken it broke b-hopping and led to the most iconic b-hop frag movie ever. This is crouch boosting, a technique where you try to follow a pattern with your b-hops, and if you crouch at the right time you would be guaranteed to hit all your b-hops. A lot of people were using it at the time. Some names you might recognize are Foon and Lolyu, but there was one thing that tried to nerf them, and that was Z-Block. Z-Block was a plugin that nerfed b-hopping, and that's where b-hopping ended. Wait, why do I hear boss music? Foon uploaded a video called Too Much for Z-Block, and that became the most viral gaming video of all time. In this video he shows that you can still b-hop with Z-Block on, and some people were saying he was using crouch boosting to achieve his long streak of b-hops, but honestly I think it was just all luck. There's a video on YouTube of someone showing off all the jumps Foon did in his video to prove it's possible to do legit without b-hop script, so that proved his innocence. I think he might have used crouch boosting in some parts like at the start of the video, because you would have to get pretty lucky to hit that many b-hops. On another note, crouch boosting wasn't the only technique abused by b-hoppers, because there was also flash boosting. This is a similar setup to run boosting, which I mean I haven't mentioned what it is yet, but it's pretty easy. You just run on your teammate's head and jump to get boosted. But flash boosting was a way more powerful version of that. You need a teammate to throw a flashbang at your feet midair, and you will bounce up with the flashbang because the hitbox was bringing you up. Lolyu especially was abusing it a lot, and even going up to the most random spots on the map to surprise the enemies with video titles like Lolyu has helium in his sneakers. This technique not only led to a lot of crazy clips like this, but also a game mode called Tricks. Tricks was a KZ style co-op movement game mode that's based around flash boosting. It wasn't very popular and there is barely any footage of it online, and that's because it's really difficult. All I can say is if you want to try it out, you're more than welcome to, but it's way harder than what it looks like. Did you know that most people that are watching this video aren't actually subscribed? This is one of my first bigger projects, so if you wanna support me for free, like the video, subscribe or comment, and in return I will keep making my videos bigger and better. Also join the Discord server, link in the description. This is where Counter-Strike really started becoming popular, and most of the stuff happened. Bhopping started getting more popular with names like Loli and Freezy Terror, and a bunch of other creators pushing out content, and Loli became the first Bhopping channel to reach 100,000 subscribers. He also made the Bhopping clan on Steam called Dinosaur that anyone could join. And this wasn't the only one. Some private Bhopping clans started appearing around this time, that basically did the same thing. Gather some really good Bhoppers and video editors and make some really sick videos with it. Honestly, not much happened until Loli became sick and stopped doing YouTube. After he became ill, he decided to stop doing content altogether and focus on enjoying life more. He even has a cat and a wife now, so congrats to him, he won life. But this gap in the market for Bhop creators would soon be filled with other YouTubers. So after Loli stopped doing YouTube, Zon started uploading Bhop videos with the same concept, teasing viewers with his Bhop clips to think he's cheating. But there was one problem. He actually was cheating, and he was not the only one either.
In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to paste your own cheat.
I already made a video on this topic a few months ago, but this is the short story. Before he became a Bhop YouTuber, he was a cheating YouTuber, often playing with expensive inventories and pretending to be legit. I think it's pretty obvious what happened after that, but he started closet cheating Bhop clips, and he got exposed many times for this. He got Overwatch banned multiple times, and under my last video he claimed he hasn't been cheating for years now. But I found this funny little clip from a few months ago where he's using skin changer in his video. In this clip the gloves change from vice gloves in his POV to leather gloves in the other person's. Do with that information what you want, but I still think there's something fishy going on. And the other person doing similar videos was Quake, another Bhop YouTuber that was making the same content, and also he got exposed for using a movement cheat called and also scammed his friend out of $500. Unlike Zon, who hasn't lost any viewers after being exposed, Vogue lost all his reputation and went from 102,000 to 94,000 subscribers, and his channel pretty much died since he got exposed. All this drama aside, there are also some new moves people started doing. There was this one jump on train when the map came out, where if you strafed on these birds you could get outside of the map. Of course this was just one of the many ways to get out of the map, but I thought I should mention it. Another thing people started doing is a technique called pixel surfing. Sometimes if you time the crouch jump right while holding specific walls, you could slide along with it, which let you do some jumps like this. This is me doing this jump with a 360 in matchmaking 2 years ago. Also, I'm not sure how I got this far without mentioning these yet, but there was also jump bogging and edge bogging. Let me start with jump bug. How you do with jump bug is you hold crouch until right before you hit the floor and let go while jumping. This makes you immune to fall damage if you jump from high, and also jump higher so you can do jumps like cat to chair. Now edge bug is where you land on the edge of an object and you slide off while not taking any fall damage. You can chain multiple of these to do a double edge bug like I did here, or triple edge bug like I did in this clip. As you can tell, movement started getting a bit more complicated in CSGO, and after Bhopping became mainstream, the difficulty of the jumps everyone was doing skyrocketed. I wanted to talk about this guy called Otter, because he was in my opinion one of the best Bhoppers ever. He started making videos about difficult jumps he was doing in the game, and they were unlike anything I've seen. He was doing double edge box sideways, routes backwards, and overall hit some really insane stuff that pushed movement even further. This was around the time when a big change happened in the movement community, and that was cheating. When the first cheat designed for movement came out in 2020 that even further inflated was possible. The cheat allowed you to hit edge bug, jump bugs, long jumps, big surfs, and pretty much any hard jump effortlessly, and you could change some insanely hard jumps together this way. I think one of the best movement cheating videos ever is 12, which is a 10-minute long video in collaboration with some of the best Bhoppers hitting the hardest jumps they could come up with, and made a movie from it. This wasn't the only good video, but the only one I thought would be worth mentioning. Also, if you wanna watch one of the best legit Bhop videos ever, I would recommend watching 1999 by Von Borter. After that, nothing really happened for a few years, and that's when out of nowhere someone uploaded a video that changed movement again. Slippery uploaded a video called Flash Boost 2.0. It turns out that even after 20 years of Counter-Strike, people were still finding new stuff to do in this game. This is referring to the technique that was in CS Source and in the first year of CSGO that would let you fly then hit with a flashbang. This technique, however, was done using a ladder. Turns out that if you have a teammate going up a ladder while holding space and landing on your teammate's head and the ladder at the same time, time, you would fly up just like you did with flash boosting. Slippery also found a cool spot to go from here. After he released that video, there was a B-hopper called the Slasher, aka BSB1G, that saw an opportunity in this. Turns out if you do this technique from a run boost, you keep the speed while going up really high. This led to some of the most iconic CS clips of all time, and that was about all that happened in CSGO. CS2 is awful. I know everyone said this before and I'll probably say it again, but I fully stand by the fact that CSGO was a much better game for B-hopping. Not only did some annoying things get added like lags that make surfing and B-hopping look goofy, but one of my favorite moves, pixel surfing, that I used in a lot of jumps was removed. B-hopping on CS2 feels like a really bare bones version of CSGO. You can't pixel surf, the flash boost 2.0 got removed and the game got harder to run. The only thing that is keeping this game alive is bugs and exploits. Since CS2 is still a new game, a lot of bugs were discovered. One of the first and my favorite was the teleport bug. This would be able to get you on top of the map on Mirage, under the ground, or even to a random spot on Inferno. Luckily that wasn't the only bug, because there was also time freeze exploit. This let you freak him around the map as if you froze time and let you get some easy info. There are a few more exploits I could mention, like the C for under the ground exploit, or the plant anywhere exploit, or the bug textures, but honestly these are nothing compared to a recent exploit that still hasn't been fixed yet. And that is, whatever this is. Few Russians found that you can just remove and replace a bunch of game files, and that led to people doing really dumb things with it. There isn't much to talk about since the game is too new, so not much happened so far. So that's all there is to CS2. If you enjoyed the video, you should let me know in the comments because I always read them. Also join the Discord server, link in the description. Bye.